When it comes to gaming on a PC, there are a lot of components to consider. It all depends on what you're going to play, as some of the parts can get quite expensive. Here then is a beginner's guide to the components of a gaming PC and explanations of what they do. Hopefully, after watching this, you'll have more information so that if you buy one in the future, you'll know roughly how they're going to affect your PC and your gaming experience. Let's get started. The first thing that you should always focus on is the graphics card. This will handle the majority of the gaming-specific aspects. It basically determines what your frame rate of the graphics is going to be, what graphical effects you can have enabled, and what sort of resolution you can actually run with your PC. Consider what you're going to be playing on your gaming PC, and then get a graphics card that is appropriate for that. So, if you're wanting to play some less intensive titles, for example Fortnite or Counter-Strike 2 at 1080p, then you don't need to spend much money on a graphics card at all. But likewise, if you're wanting to play intense games in 4K resolution at 120 plus frames per second or FPS with new features like ray tracing, then you're going to need the best graphics card that you can possibly get. The card will have specifications that you can use to buy an appropriate monitor. If it's a really high-end card, you could potentially make things look better with a high-end monitor with advanced display options. There are generally two main brands of graphics cards, AMD and Nvidia. But Intel has recently entered the market as well with lower mid-range options. Different manufacturers will choose one of these companies' chips and build a unique card around that, with different features and capabilities. The size of these cards differ as well, from single-slot small form factor cards to 4-slot monsters. The graphics card holds Video Random Access Memory, or VRAM, and the more of this you have, typically the better your games will perform. Another factor is the amount of cores the card has, and the specific generation of those cores. A good graphics card for high-end games at the time this video was made would be a 16GB size card. The reason that some of the cards are a little bit bigger than others is plainly because, depending on how powerful it is, it's going to generate more heat, and you're going to need more cooling to actually dissipate all of that heat throughout your PC. So, that's the graphics card out of the way. Now, if we have quite a powerful graphics card, you'll need a good power supply. Lower-end gaming can get away with a 650-watt power supply, but if you're powering higher-end components, then the supply should be more like 1,000 watts. Power supplies can go up to 1,600 watts for extremely powerful computers. The next part is the motherboard and CPU. It's basically the heart and brain of your computer. Every component connects here: the graphics card, storage drives, and memory. The central processing unit, or CPU, is essentially the brain of the PC, and is involved in everything the PC does. CPUs also come in two different processor types, from the companies AMD and Intel. Different generations of these processors may have different connections, and you will need different motherboards, which is something to consider if you're building a machine yourself. AMD's top of the line for gaming is currently the Ryzen Series 9 processors, whereas Intel has the Core i9. These are normally the best sort of gaming CPUs if you have a bit more money to spare. But likewise, you can go for an Intel i7 or an AMD Ryzen 7 if you're looking at the more budget-friendly system. Even i5 and Ryzen 5 CPUs can provide surprisingly good performance for many games or esports titles. CPUs are better and increase in price with the number of cores they have and their speed. They work in tandem with the graphics card, so try to keep a good balance of having them both about the same power level where possible, so one doesn't bottleneck the performance of the other. Faster processors tend to get hotter quicker, so you'll also have to have an appropriate CPU cooler, which can end up getting quite large. CPU coolers could be a radiator with fans, or even a combination of fans with a liquid cooling system. Our next component is the Random Access Memory, or RAM, the PC's memory chips. All you need to do is make sure that you're buying the right speed and generation for your motherboard and the right capacity. The higher the speed, the better, and as far as size, you want to have at least 16GB of RAM for higher-end games, or preferably 32GB. RAM is essentially boxes to hold the data that the computer is working on there and then. The more boxes you have, the more things you can do at the same time. The next component is storage. Typically, you'll have several hard disk drives, or HDDs. These are the standard spinning mechanical drives and have been a staple for many years. But more recently, solid-state drives, or SSDs, have become more popular as they don't have moving components and they can transfer data 10 times faster. HDDs are slower, but they also have more capacity and they're cheaper. so it's good for storing data or large amounts of games. It's a good idea to get some of each. Now, let's move on to the case itself. Depending on the type of motherboard and the amounts of drives and size of graphics card and the power supply, the case could be a full tower, mid tower, or a micro ATX or mini ITX tower. All cases will list what size motherboard they can support, so it's important to make sure the one you've chosen will fit. Now, with the amount of heat being generated, these cases will have fans. These will help move the hot air out of the case and away from the components and ensure things stay running smoothly. So, those are the items within the PC case. Now to get gaming, you'll need your monitor, mouse and keyboard, all of which can be advanced versions for gaming. Don't forget, you'll need a copy of Windows as the software for your PC to run on. Then finally, your internet connection. The faster the connection, the better it will be for gaming, in terms of gameplay and when you initially download the games. Smithville's fast fibre internet is perfect for gaming, being both fast and reliable. After that, your gaming can begin. Whether you download a bunch of games from Steam and use a voice client like Discord to speak with players online as you play, or simply play alone, some of the games available are absolutely incredible. Buying a gaming PC from a store will get you gaming fast. But remember, if you can or have someone who can help, build your own. That way you can choose the exact components that go into it and find the best deals while doing so. So have fun and happy gaming. Join us next time on Smithville Smart for more tips, tricks and insights in the world of technology. To learn more about Smithville's services, visit smithville.com or call 833 768 4853.